Live, local, now. This is WIS News 10.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is 4:30 a.m. Wow, what are you doing up so early? Whatever you have ahead, we want to help you plan your day. We're not going to plan it for you. I'm Dondi Mercer-Plank, and if you're headed out early this morning, let's get a look at your forecast. Tim Miller's in the First Alert Weather Center with your Wake Up forecast. We're so glad somebody's out there right now, right, Tim?
How's day number 2 doing for you?
I'm still awake. I'm still okay.
Yay, I'm glad to hear that. Oh, my goodness. Well, here we are. Yeah, it's Tuesday morning, and it's school time for more districts throughout the Midlands this morning. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of rain to contend with. It's a disturbance in Georgia that's moving on through, and it's producing some light rain. Nothing real heavy, but it's sort of pesky light, mostly western Midlands here. Newberry, your showers this morning from south to north. That also includes 26, so be careful of that. Chapin, a little light rain for you. Batesburg, Leesville, Gilbert. Prosperity, little rain. This is, of course, Highway 1. There's Aiken. There's I-20. Careful for that. So Aiken, Windsor, New Wellington, little shower activity. I'll pull out and show you showers and storms in Georgia. They're starting to diminish in intensity as they move across the Savannah River, but we may have to deal with that again this morning. We'll continue to watch that. Temperatures in the 70s this morning. It's very humid outside and very muggy. 77 in Lexington, 78 in the city, and 77 in Manning. Futurecast this morning has our showers. This may be a little overdone here, but notice the clouds, right? Through at least morning in western Midlands, we're stuck in these clouds here. And then afternoon showers and storms will pop. I think with the cloud cover and these showers, and there's possibility again of some thunderstorms, will hold the temperature to around 90 degrees this afternoon, which certainly is a far cry from where we've been. Back to school we go, and here it is. Some scattered showers this morning that will keep it cloudy. It's sort of warm and humid with peekaboo sunshine. We'll look at the rest of our forecast coming up and talk about alert days posted for Friday and Saturday in just a bit. Dondi?
Hey, thanks, Tim. Well, as the school year gets underway, we know there is a shortage of teachers in the Palmetto State. Yesterday, we spoke with Superintendent of Education Molly Spearman about a program in place to help get special education teachers into the classroom.
It's a great need for special education teachers. One very successful thing that we've done at the Department of Education is the SC Create. That is a quicker way for folks to get involved in special education teaching, and it's been hugely successful with over 1,000 teachers going through that route to become a special education teacher.
That program is called SC Create. That stands for Centers for the Re-Education and Advancement of Teachers in Special Education. And it allows full-time employees in public and charter schools in our state to receive cost-free coursework in special education. Well, the start of the school year is in full swing for many in the Palmetto State, and one of the top things on the list for students before heading back to the classroom is getting the required vaccines. But studies show the number of unvaccinated kids in schools in South Carolina is on the rise. Last school year, more than 11,000 students across South Carolina had a religious exemption. Greenville, Spartanburg, and Charleston counties are the top 3 for exemptions. Richland County had 781 students with a religious exemption last year. South Carolina's religious and medical exemptions cover children from pre-K through 12th grade. If there is an outbreak, students who are not vaccinated against the disease in question may be taken out of school until the outbreak is over. Some school districts in South Carolina are being recognized for supporting military children and families. It's part of a new statewide program called the Purple Star School. School districts with this designation will have a liaison to help military families with things like relocations, loss, deployment, and academic planning. Richland School District 2 and Aiken County Public Schools are among those designated as Purple Star School Districts. Well, yesterday, Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott announced that the investigation into a threat made to Cardinal Newman School is over. This comes as students at that Columbia school are heading back to class today. Sheriff Lott says 13 teenagers were involved in the text thread that included a threat to the school, which was sent out May 21st. A racially charged video also was sent to a group of teenagers in July. Sheriff Lott says it was at that point a parent reported the threats to police. The sheriff says in terms of the video, charges could not be filed because there's no hate crime law in our state. He He also says he believes his deputies did their job to fully investigate the case.
The threat has been stopped. We knew there was no threat to the students at Cardinal Newman or anywhere else based on arrest, but our investigation had not been completed. So no, I would not have done anything any different than what we've done.
Cardinal Newman school officials initially said the student was allowed to withdraw, but has since issued a statement saying the student's record has been revised to reflect expulsion. School administrators also said a second student involved with the incident has also been expelled, but they did not release any additional details. Cardinal Newman principal Robert Loya has issued a letter to parents ahead of students' return to class today. Loya said in his letter sent Friday night that there will be an increased presence of the Richland County Sheriff's deputies during the first few weeks of school. Some students will return to the classroom today at UNC Charlotte, many of them for the first time since the deadly campus shooting back in April. Evening classes for the fall semester kicked off last night. Students, faculty, and staff can expect to see more police on campus, not just UNC Charlotte officers. Other departments are ramping up their presence at big events on campus like Freshman Convocation. School leaders say they have counseling still available, and they're putting an emphasis on training teachers to help students as well.
Really, our focus as we move forward was about ensuring that we're helping the staff, faculty, and students get prepared to come back to campus. And, you know, for some of them, the first day back on campus since April 30th.
In the months since the shooting, student support and counseling services saw an influx, and they're expecting another wave as students start the semester. A grant allowed UNC Charlotte to hire an additional counselor to help those students. Happening today, Columbia City Council is taking a first vote on 3 ordinances designate, or not designated, but designed to make Columbia safer. 2 of them involve guns, the other hate crimes. Paul Rivera joins us to break this all down.
We sat down with at-large City Councilman Howard Duvall as he explained each of these ordinances that have a chance to become law. One of them is an ordinance that would bring a hate crime law to the local level. Monday, Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott gave an update on the Cardinal Newman investigation, again saying the state needs a hate crime law. South Carolina, he says, is one of 4 states that does not have that type of law. But Columbia wants to take things down to a local level.
Where if you have, say, an assault and battery, and it was deemed to be a hate crime based on the ordinance criteria, then an additional penalty could be put on top of the crime.
At-large City Councilman Howard Duvall says that ordinance, if passed, would address incidents of hate, including race, sexual orientation, gender, and religion. Duvall says it could also move the county to take more action. A second ordinance comes on the heels of recent murder-suicides in Columbia and would allow police to take temporary action on certain gun owners.
To remove the firearms from a person that has been deemed by the court to be an extreme risk to either themselves, or to families or friends.
And lastly, a city ordinance to address gun-free school zones in Columbia, which he says is currently a part of state law.
To give us a perimeter of 1,000 feet around a school enforced by municipal ordinance, honoring the exceptions to that ordinance by state law.
He says the ordinance is essentially a fail-safe that would assure the city still has their own gun-free school zone law modeled after federal law if legislators made changes at the state level. Now keep in mind, ordinances, they need to pass 2 votes before becoming a municipal law. This would only be the first vote. A second vote might come at the next council meeting, or according to Duvall, it could take a little longer depending on if they need to look at these ordinances a little closer. Reporting in the newsroom, Paul Rivera, WIS News 10.
Thank you. And Councilman Duvall says the public can weigh in on this and other ordinances, but anyone wanting to do that would have to sign in for the special ordinances. And you can do that right outside the council chambers where you sign up. You will then speak during the public comment part of the council meeting, and that is toward the beginning of the meeting. Meanwhile, red flag laws may play a role in preventing mass shootings. That's according to an analysis of 21 cases involving threats of mass violence. The cases were subject to red flag laws, which allow police to temporarily remove weapons from those who are a danger to themselves or others. As of earlier this month, none of the threatened shootings had occurred, and there were no other homicides by the suspects. Research shows nearly 80% of mass shooters make threats or behave suspiciously before they act. We have been following a slew of crimes across the city the past couple weeks, including a recent surge in homicides, with 5 currently unsolved this year. There were 16 homicides in Columbia in all of 2018 and 17 already in 2019. Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook says he is alarmed by the violence and he's frustrated. He also says that he and his staff are watching another number that can actually give a better idea about the violence across the city: aggravated assaults or the attempt to cause serious bodily injury. The chief says a lot of the offenders are people they already know, young individuals mostly, and they are consistently reoffending. Columbia Police say from January 1st through August 11th of 2018, there were 450 aggravated assaults. In that same time in 2019, there were 491. A 9% increase. Chief Holbrook says they have seen more conflict with some of their known gang members and associates. He says it's stemming from words on social media or arguments escalating into gunfire. Holbrook says the laws surrounding illegal weapons are too weak to make a difference.
There has got to be certainty when somebody fires a gun or somebody is caught for illegally possessing a gun. There has to be swift accountability. That's the only way we're going to stop this. And our community's got to say enough's enough and report crime and report people that are responsible for this.
Another issue that Chief Holbrook mentioned was recruitment and retention. He says right now there are about 80 officers understaffed, but he wants to reassure citizens that while the shortage is a constant point of concern, they're always where they need to be. Well, the Clemson football team is making history and the season has not even started. Plus, former Gamecock Deebo Samuel says he's showing off his talent in an NFL preseason game. Don't go away.
The Clemson football team will begin the season ranked #1 in both major polls. The Tigers hold down the top spot in the Associated Press preseason rankings for the first time in program history. Clemson is also #1 for the first time in the coaches preseason poll. The Tigers are looking for their 3rd national championship in 4 years. Head coach Dabo Swinney says, you know, the ranking is nice, but what really matters is where you finish.
Take the last 10 years preseason polls, and a lot of those teams in the top 5 don't even finish ranked. A lot of the teams in the top 10 don't even finish in the top 25. So, you know, I just have a perspective of it, and I've been on the other side of it where we haven't been ranked in the top 25 and we finished ranked.
One thing is certain about this season, one Clemson streak will come to an end. The Tigers have finished higher than their preseason AP ranking the past 8 years. They were picked 2nd in 2016 and 2018. They won the national championship both of those seasons. Now that they're starting 2019 at #1, there's no way to exceed that ranking unless you use some type of Dabo math.
0. Why not? Why not?
You gotta have an asterisk.
I mean, can't we finish like, you know, negative? It would be 0. It would be 0. That's the next one, right? Then it gets to -1. Super duper 1. Super duper. So I don't know.
And the USC defense, well, they want more turnovers in 2019. They tied for 9th in the SEC last season in turnovers gained. USC scooped up 10 fumbles last year and pulled down 6 interceptions. The 16 total turnovers, just a little over 1 per game. They've been working on takeaways during the preseason, but so far they're not getting the results they want.
You know, you look at the scrimmages, I think in the 2 big scrimmages we had, I think we only had 1 or 2 turnovers, so that's not what we want. Really good on the offensive part, you know, because that's one of the things that we talk about is the ball. So Jake's been doing a good job protecting that, you know, but we got to do a better job of causing and forcing some turnovers to do what we need to do.
I feel like, you know, it's just it's a work in progress. We're working on it. We got to think about the ball more, and once we think about the ball, the ball will come out. So just emphasizing that each practices and then going into the games is going to help us out a lot more this year.
Former Gamecock Deebo Samuel made a big play last night in an NFL preseason game. Deebo is a rookie wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. He shows off his speed on the end-around play, racing 45 yards to the 1-yard line. The 49ers scored on the next play as they beat the Denver Broncos 24-15 USC. Yeah, they're certainly missed Deebo this season and his electrifying playmaking ability. I'm Rick Henry, and that's your morning sports wrap.
Thank you, Rick. Looking outside this morning, notice the clouds over our gorgeous city and sort of reflecting the city lights. Sure is pretty, but we also have ourselves a little bit of rain outside. Current temperature is 77. Winds are calm at the moment. Humidity's way up there at about 90% this morning. And we have alert days posted for Friday and Saturday with the potential of some strong storms. Heavy rain and perhaps some flooding rain is possible. Again, this would be Friday and Saturday. And we'll talk more about it as we get closer to those days, but sort of a heads up as to what's to come. Right now, we're dealing with light rain. It's very light right now. From Newberry to Chapin, south to north goes the rain. Batesburg, Leesville, Ridge Springs, Monetta. It's raining at the Big Mo, although just a little bit. Aiken, New Ellington, Windsor, Sally, Wagner, little light showers for you. The heaviest of rain is still out in Georgia. We've had some storms are starting to diminish, but this is a little disturbance in the atmosphere, and that's going to continue to lift up towards the north and will be a player. Futurecast pinpoints it well with these showers, but keeps it more towards the western Midlands and also increases the intensity of these showers and storms later on. We'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to fruition here, but nonetheless, by 1 o'clock or so, notice we're still covered in clouds with scattered showers and storms. So really the western, maybe the northern Midlands could be wet off to school this morning. And then later on in the day, we're all going to get in on the action. So some peekaboo sunshine will allow us to basically have the atmosphere a little bit more unstable to produce more widespread showers and storms. There's 6:30, 7 o'clock, and this takes us into about 8, 9 o'clock. Still with some scattered showers and storms. Even a decent batch runs in around 11 o'clock or so. And that's also because of that little disturbance helping fire off showers and storms. So raise the rain chance to 50% today with scattered storms pretty much at any time. And they become more afternoon variety for Wednesday and Thursday. Notice a little bit more sunshine, will be warmer. And then there's our alert days posted Friday and Saturday with a decent chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. 4:49 is the time. More of Sunrise in just a moment.
A possible clue has surfaced in the search for 2 firefighters who disappeared after leaving for a fishing trip Friday in Florida. Reed Binion reports the search for the 2 men has been broad and intense, involving multiple agencies, dozens of volunteers, and covering tens of thousands of square miles of ocean.
This is still absolutely a rescue mission.
Jacksonville Fire and Rescue Interim Chief Keith Powers giving an update on the massive search underway for 2 firefighters missing at sea.
We're going to find these guys, and it's just a matter we finally started zeroing in a little bit today.
Surveillance videos showed Brian McClooney and Justin Walker setting out from Port Canaveral, Florida Friday morning for what was supposed to be a short fishing trip. They didn't return that evening as expected, so family members called the Coast Guard. What followed was a days-long search by air and sea, with boats and aircraft searching an estimated 24,000 square miles of ocean.
Days are long and nights are longer.
McClooney's wife confirming that a gear bag found floating in the ocean Monday, about 50 miles east of Jacksonville, belonged to her husband.
They might have tossed over hats that would wash ashore, extra life preservers that were on board, anything floating.
Dozens of Good Samaritans are pitching in to help with the search, as are McClooney and Walker's fellow firefighters, who say the 2 men have what it takes to survive.
We're talking about a decorated, combat veteran here. We're talking about a firefighter paramedic.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Well, there is an ongoing debate that has even cooking legends disagreeing with one another. What the USDA now says about this particular method of meat preparation.
This morning on the 3rd hour of Today, our series Secrets, Telling My Truth, a working mom with the job you'd never expect, the secret her daughter kept for decades.
Then it's a terrifying game of cat and mouse from the mind of Stephen King. The stars of Mr. Mercedes are here.
Plus, People Helping People, a remarkable young man who's overcome homelessness to pursue his dream of becoming a documentary maker.
And rising brother-sister duo Lawrence performing in the Artist Lounge. That's all this morning on the 3rd hour of Today.
How do you prepare chicken? If your answer includes a quick rinse in the sink, listen up. The USDA says you need to stop that immediately. As Sarah Dolph reports, a new study shows dangerous levels of contamination between bacteria from raw poultry and other foods being prepared.
Should you rinse raw poultry? Advice over the years has been conflicting. Even cooking legends Julia Child and Jacques Pepin disagreed.
I've washed this chicken with hot water. And if we take in the...
I won't wash my chicken.
But a new study from the U.S. Department of Agriculture has a definitive answer. Don't do it.
The sink can be a source of cross-contamination.
Using test kitchens, the USDA observed test subjects cooking chicken thighs, then preparing a salad. When subjects wash the chicken,
I just feel like it's cleaner.
26% transferred bacteria to the ready-to-eat lettuce. Most didn't even attempt to clean the sink in between, but even when they did, 14% were still contaminated. Black lights show how far bacteria traveled.
How many times are you peeling a vegetable, you drop it in the sink, and you just pick it up and go on, and so at that point you've cross-contaminated your vegetables.
Millions of Americans are sickened by foodborne illness every year, resulting in an average 128,000 hospitalizations and 3,000 deaths. Young children and the elderly are especially at risk, but even the researchers running the study have fallen ill.
It made me recognize a little bit more that foodborne illness isn't just statistics.
So what's a home chef to do? The USDA says prepare food that won't be cooked, like salads, before handling raw meat. Thoroughly clean and sanitize surfaces that have potentially been contaminated. And if it's raw, never rinse. Sarah Dolph, NBC News.
The USDA also says you should cook meat and poultry to a safe internal temperature. That's 165 degrees for poultry, 160 degrees for burgers, and 145 degrees for beef, pork, and lamb. Well, the time now is 4:58, almost 5 a.m. Thanks for starting your day with News 10 Sunrise. We'll be back right after this.